5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello everybody and welcome back to Sky Saga Alpha 9. We're over here on Tutorial Island and it is time for another Tutorial Tuesday. Today we're going to be looking at Halloween style lighting because there is a Halloween build event coming up and I think this is going to help a couple of you guys out. So right above me, as you can see, we're kind of in just a long deep room, and up above me we have some lighting. Now this lighting I have rigged at the moment to be set just to be on all the time, but you can see I've got two pressure plates at the back here. One of these is going to turn the lights off, and the other one is going to turn the lights into spooky Halloween mode. So let's take a quick look at what these do. It is going to get a little bit dark in this video because of course I'm showing off a lighting effect, so I want it to go a little bit dark. So we're going to turn off the current lights, and then this guy over here is going to turn on our spooky Halloween lighting. So here we go. So the idea is that this is supposed to kind of emulate the like flashing fluorescence that you get in all sorts of horror movies where somebody's like in an abandoned house or running through a dark hotel. The fluoros will kind of flash at random points and you'll kind of like see glimpses of the murderer popping around the corner wielding an axe when you get a bright flash happen on the screen. So this is the type of thing that we're going to be emulating. If I pull out my wands, as you probably have realized, all of the circuitry is out behind the wall over here. But we're about to go through and build a couple of these actually in this area itself. So I'm going to turn these guys off and then we will head up to the back wall and take a look at how this circuit actually gets built and how you can improve this circuit and kind of what the baseline is and all that kind of stuff. So we have come outside where I can show you this a little bit better and spread all of this stuff out and show you how all of this works. Now, there is a simple design and then a couple of different extensions you can do to that simple design to make it just look that little bit better. And obviously you can kind of jam the two extensions together and have a bigger and better system. But we'll have a quick look at what these are all about. So the simple system is the first row of my rucksack. It needs a light, one delay of any kind that you like. Personally, I prefer the longer type delays, so the 5-second and the 10-second, but you can also stack them if you really want to do. You could add, you know, a couple of 5-second and a couple of 10 seconds or whatever and get a longer delay. But this is going to determine the interval that your light flashes at, so you need to make sure that it's something that you're actually comfortable with doing. And then we're going to have 2 AND gates and 2 NOT gates. So the other thing I do need up here is I need 1 NOT gate, which is going to be the input power for everything here. So you could either trigger this off a pressure plate or off a flip-flop that we've built before. In this video, I'm just going to trigger these off a NOT gate because I just want constant power running into these things so you guys can see how they all work. So we're going to start off by placing down our power system. So there it is, that's our NOT gate, that's going to be our input device. And then we're going to start by building a timer. Now what I need first is I need my 5-second delay. So, sorry, I have mentioned this as a timer, but it's also a clock. So what we're going to do is we're going to place our delay down. We've built one of these in the past, so we want a delay, a NOT gate, and an AND gate, just like that. So then we're going to connect all of these three things together. So what we want to do is the 5-second delay into the NOT gate. The NOT gate goes into the A side of this AND gate, and then the AND gate runs back into the 5-second delay. Now, when we hook our input up to the B side down here, this timer is going to start ticking around, and it's going to tick every 5 seconds. Now, what this means is that this guy is going to hold the output. This is our output to this timer, or this clock, and it is going to hold a signal for 5 seconds, but we don't want that. We want a single flash. So we're going to build something we've built before, which is the rising edge pulse. So that's simply a NOT gate and an AND gate. So we're just going to put these two down here, just like that. And we're going to connect these up by taking a output from our 5-second delay, running it into the NOT gate, and also running it into the A side of the AND gate up here. And we're going to run the NOT gate into the B side down there, and that's going to give us our little pulse circuit. So this is actually almost done now. So like I said, this is a simple version. And then we're going to place down our output, which is in this case a Lumostone light. And we're going to hook the output up to the Lumostone light. And we are going to turn this all on by hooking our NOT gate into the B side down here. And that should turn on. And we should see pulses coming out of this every 5 seconds. Obviously right now we're not going to see that, but there you go. That's one pulse, and in another 5 seconds as this thing cycles round, we'll see another pulse, and it will just keep pulsing over and over and over again. Now, like I said, this is the very simple circuit, and this will work. The only problem is that as people, we're very, very good at pattern matching and deciphering patterns, and if somebody stays in your room too long, they'll eventually work out that this thing is just on a 5-second timer, and once you've kind of figured that out, it's not quite as scary anymore. So what we can do to fix that is we can actually run the timer into a second timer before we generate the pulse, and that ends up with some weird effects where you kind of get some double triggering occurring every now and again, which gives just that little bit more randomness to your pulse and actually makes this whole thing look a little bit better. So that's what the second system is. This is my second system here. So in this case, we need a Lumostone light, 3 AND gates, 3 NOT gates, a 5-second timer, a 0.5 second timer, and a 1 second timer. Now you can change up all of these delays, but what I will say is that the second timer we're going to make should have the longest duration on it, and we'll see what I mean by that in just a second. So first we're going to build the first timer. So this first timer is the 0.5 second delay and the 1 second delay. So we're going to quickly swap those out down here. So we're going to build that slightly differently to the one we've just built. So there's our 0.5 seconds down, there's our 1 second down. Now we're going to put our NOT gate just over here, and then we're going to put our AND gate down just over here as well. Now once again, this stuff is just going to get all linked together. So the AND gate goes into the 0.5 second delay, 0.5 second delay goes into the 1 second delay, 1 second delay goes around into the NOT gate goes into the A side up the top. Perfect. So now that is one little clock set up, and that's a 1.5 second clock. Now the output of this, rather than feeding into a pulse, we're going to feed into another clock. So this is going to be our 5-second clock. So I'm going to take a 5-second timer here, and we're going to place this guy down. We're going to obviously do this exactly the same way. So a 5-second timer, a NOT gate, and an AND gate, just like this. And once again, these guys are going to cycle round into each other. So the AND gate into the delay into the NOT gates, and the NOT gate into the A side up the top. Perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the output of the first clock, which is this 1 second delay, and we're not going to take it out of there, we're going to take it out of the 0.5 second delay. We're going to take it out of there, and we're going to feed it into the B side down the bottom here. So that's one clock hooked up to the second clock. Now we want to take our output from the second clock, and we want to create our little pulse circuit again. So that is 1 NOT gate and 1 AND gate, just like that and that. And we're going to hook these up in the same way we hooked up these before. So that is output of the 5 second into the NOT, and output of the 5 second into the A side up the top here, and then the NOT gate into the B side. Bam, bam, bam. Throw down our Lumostone light, which is of course the output for this whole thing, and output from the AND gate here. Perfect. Now, so that is a slightly longer circuit, and it is slightly more complicated, as you can obviously see here. But if we take our NOT gate and hook that all the way up over to here into the B side, you should see that what will happen is we'll get this thing now. It will pulse approximately every 5 seconds, but there will be a couple of cases where it double pulses. And I am not 100% sure why it double pulses, but it does seem to double pulse almost seemingly at random, which is actually kind of a good thing. And so what this is basically meaning is that you're not going to get perfect 5-second pulses, because this guy is going to pulse every 1.5 seconds, and this guy's going to pulse every 5 seconds, or this guy's going to be ready for a new pulse every 5 seconds, which means that because this thing is going to deliver a signal at 0 seconds and 1.5, and then 3, and then 4.5, and as you can see, it's not going to perfectly line up with where this guy is. So your pulses are going to be a little bit out of sync, and they're not going to be quite exactly 5 seconds. And as I mentioned, every now and again you do get a weird little jumpy double pulse that comes through, which just adds an extra element of randomness to this whole system. So there you go. So that is adding just another delay to kind of change up how the output actually happens. Now, once again, these two are good systems, but there is a further step that we can do here, and that further step is by having two different outputs, once again, you could stack this and have multiple different outputs, but actually offsetting them in time in terms of where they actually start together. So to do this, we're going to need two outputs, pretty obviously. We're going to need 4 AND gates, we're going to need 6 NOT gates, and then we're just going to need an array of delays. So in my case, I've got a 10-second delay, a 5-second delay, a 0.5 second delay, and a 1 second delay. Now, the first one of these we're going to build exactly the same as the first circuit over here. So we're just going to build the 5-second clock, and then we're going to build the pulse, and we're going to add it into our own Lumo device. So we'll just grab out our 5-second timer. Once again, we'll just build this exactly the same as we've built the other one over there. So there we go. This is our clock being built up right here. Perfect, like that. So we're just going to hook all of these up. So obviously, AND gate goes into the delay. Delay goes into the NOT gate. And the NOT gate goes into the A side at the top here. Beautiful. So that's our first clock. And then we're going to build our first pulse for this system. So here's our pulse setup. Just like that, and we're going to feed that obviously off our 5-second delay. So 5-second delay into the NOT into the B side, and 5-second delay into the A side. So that is that whole system set up, and then we're going to throw our LumoStone light output off of that one, and that is going to get fed from here, just like that. Beautiful. Now, what we don't want from this point is we don't want the other light output triggering at exactly the same time as this one, because otherwise they're going to be perfectly in sync, although they will be slightly out. So I have a 1 second, the next one I'm going to build is a 1 second clock, so it will pulse every single second, but if both of them are fed from the same input, when the world loads, they're going to pulse together, and that will mean that the 1 second is going to pulse at 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds, and then at 5 seconds they're both going to pulse together. And once again, that's not random. It doesn't look random. So somebody going through your build is going to see that and kind of start working out exactly how it works. And once again, when people start working out how things work, it takes away from the vibe and the atmosphere and the spookiness of the whole situation. So we want to avoid that. And the way we avoid that is by adding in a delay. Now, the easiest way to build one of these things is we want to, in my case, I'm going to build a 10.5 second one. It doesn't really matter what delays you string together, but I would personally suggest at least having a 0.5 second delay in there, because that is going to offset things in time. So this will mean that my 1 second delay will trigger not at 1 second, but at 1.5 seconds, and then at 2.5 seconds, and 3.5 seconds, and 4.5 seconds, which means that when my 5-second clock goes off, the 1 second clock is going to go off at 5.5 seconds. So they're not at the same time, they're slightly different, and they kind of jumped and mingled a little bit, which means that they're not going to be as obvious to somebody just looking at them. So here we go, this is our delay setup. So the delay is just a NOT gate, and then whatever delays you want, and then another NOT gate at the end, and pretty simply we run these in a line. So NOT gate into your first delay into your second delay, and second delay into third, whatever, as long as you want to go, and then you go for your last delay into the final NOT gate, and there you go. Now this output, this NOT gate here, is going to be the input into your timing circuit. So that's the next thing we want to build. So we're going to build a 1 second timing circuit here. So that's, once again, as we've built the timing circuits before, it is the delay like that, the NOT gate, and the AND gates, just like this, and we'll feed them around in a circle as we've done over and over again. So the AND gate into the delay, delay into the NOT gate into the A side up the top, just like that, and then we're going to feed our input here into the B side, just like that. Perfect. Now, the final piece of this puzzle, of course, is a pulse, so that we can get the lights flashing and doing the pulse thing. So we once again just place down a NOT gate and an AND gate, and we'll take from our 1 second delay this time, going into the NOT gate going into the B side down here, just trying to make sure I'm getting this consistently, and then the 1 second delay into the A side up the top here. Just like that, and now we put down our final output down here and run our AND gate into that. Now what happens here is if we now hook this guy up to both of these inputs at the same time, obviously I can't quite do that, but I'm going to go as close as I possibly can. So here we go, this is going into the B side down here, that's the start of that one, hook this guy up into here. Now what you see is that this guy's going to start pulsing, and this guy's not going to stop pulsing for a whole 10.5 seconds. There was one flash of that, which means that's 5 seconds since we've started watching this. And then we'll see another, oh, okay, so obviously I missed a flash of that. But as you can see, this guy waited a whole 10.5 seconds before flashing, and he's out of sync with this one, which, I mean, that was probably always going to happen because I hooked these up at different times, but because of this 0.5 second delay, that is a guaranteed thing that these two lights are never going to flash at the same time. Even if you put exactly the same clock system, even if you put a 5 second clock in here, these two lights are never going to flash at exactly the same time. They are always going to be off because they've got this 0.5 second delay in here. So that is going to be more random, because the more of these you stack together and the more interesting techniques you use to build these things up. If you merge these two techniques and run both of your systems off double clocks and then a pulse and then in, so you'd have this guy here would be exactly the same as that one with your 1.5 and 5 and then your pulse, and then this one here would have its own delay and then its own setup of 2 or 3 clocks, whatever you wanted to do, and then running into the light. And then those things would pulse at very, very different times, and it would seem relatively random to a person watching it. Or at least it would seem random to a person who doesn't spend like half an hour just sitting there staring at your lights, attempting to work out what your timings and rhythms are of your system. So yeah, there you go. This is how to do kind of spooky, flashy, Halloween type lighting. Obviously, this could also be used for something like a disco floor or whatever you want to use it for, something that needs bright, flashing lights going off here, there, and everywhere. I just thought that personally this is going to make for quite a cool Halloween lighting effect, and that some of you could use it in the upcoming Halloween build event. So I hope you guys have enjoyed that one, and I will see you in the next video.